Linda Martinez walked out of the animal clinic feeling tired. Her shift had been long and difficult. 3 dogs needed surgery, 2 cats had broken bones, and 1 rabbit would not stop biting everyone who tried to help it. She loved her job as a veterinary technician, but some days were harder than others. The evening air felt cool against her face as she walked across the parking lot. Her old Honda sat under a broken streetlight. She needed to stop at the grocery store before going home. Her 2 rescue cats, Pepper and Salt, were almost out of food. She also needed milk, bread, and something quick for dinner. The grocery store parking lot was mostly empty. Only a few cars sat under the bright lights. Linda grabbed a shopping cart and went inside. The store felt warm and smelled like fresh bread. She moved quickly through the aisles, picking up cat food, milk, and a frozen pizza for herself. 20 minutes later, she pushed her cart back outside. The parking lot seemed darker now. Most of the other shoppers had left. Linda loaded her bags into her car and started to push the empty cart back to the store entrance. That was when she saw the old woman. The woman stood next to a beat-up pickup truck about 30 feet away. She looked very small and thin. Her hair was completely white and reached down to her shoulders. She wore a long dark coat that seemed too big for her tiny frame. 3 large grocery bags sat on the ground next to her feet. She kept trying to lift one of the bags, but it seemed too heavy for her Dot. Linda stopped walking and watched for a moment. The old woman tried again to lift the bag. She managed to get it a few inches off the ground before setting it back down. She looked around the parking lot as if hoping someone might help her Dot. Linda did not think twice. She left her empty cart and walked over to the woman. "Excuse me," Linda said with a smile. "Do you need some help with those bags?" The old woman looked up at Linda. Her eyes were the strangest color Linda had ever seen. They were amber, like golden honey, and they seemed to glow slightly in the dim light. For just a moment, Linda felt like those eyes were much older and wiser than they should be. "Oh, that would be very kind of you, dear," the woman said. Her voice was soft, but had a strange quality to it, like music played on very old instruments. "These bags are much heavier than I expected." Linda bent down and picked up one of the bags. The woman was right. The bag was incredibly heavy, much heavier than any grocery should be. Linda looked inside and saw packages of raw meat, thick steaks, and what looked like huge chicken legs. There were also several bottles of expensive wine and small containers, filled with spices she did not recognize. "Wow, you must be planning quite a feast," Linda said as she carried the bag toward the pickup truck. The old woman smiled. "Something like that. My family has very specific tastes when it comes to food." Linda helped load all 3 bags into the back of the truck. Each bag was just as heavy as the first. She could not understand how the tiny old woman had planned to carry them by herself. "Thank you so much, dear," the woman said. "I am Margaret Stone, and you are very kind to help a stranger." "I am Linda Martinez," Linda replied. "I work at the animal clinic down the street. I see people struggling with things all the time. It is no trouble to help." Margaret studied Linda carefully. Her amber eyes seemed to look right through her. "You work with animals? That is interesting. Do you enjoy caring for creatures that others might find difficult or frightening?" Linda laughed. "Well, some of the animals that come to our clinic can be pretty scary. Last week, we had a huge dog that growled at everyone, but he was just hurt and afraid. Once we helped him feel better, he was actually very sweet." "And you were not afraid of this dog?" "Not really. I have learned that most creatures are not truly mean. They are usually just scared or in pain. If you show them kindness and patience, they usually respond well." Margaret nodded slowly. "That is a very wise way to think about it." Linda noticed that Margaret kept looking at her as if she was studying her for some kind of test. It made her feel a little uncomfortable, but the old woman seemed harmless enough. "Do you live far from here?" Linda asked, trying to make conversation. "Not too far. I have a small place up in the mountains. Very quiet and peaceful. I do not get many visitors." Margaret reached into her coat pocket and pulled out something small. "I would like to give you something, Linda. A small token of thanks for your friends. Kindness." She held out her hand. In her palm was a small stone pendant on a thin chain. The stone was dark gray, with silver lines running through it. It looked very old and was carved with symbols Linda did not recognize. "Oh, I cannot take that," Linda said quickly. "I was just helping. You do not need to give me anything." "Please," Margaret said firmly. Her grip on Linda's wrist was surprisingly strong for such a frail-looking woman. "This pendant has been in my family for many generations. I want to give it to someone who deserves it. Someone who shows kindness to strangers without expecting anything in return." Linda looked down at the pendant. Up close, the symbols seemed to move slightly in the dim light, though she was sure that was just her imagination. The stone felt warm against her skin. "Are you sure?" Linda asked. "It looks very valuable." "Its value is not in money," Margaret sighed. "Please wear it. It will bring you good fortune." Linda took the pendant and put it around her neck. It felt heavier than it looked, and the stone seemed to pulse with a gentle warmth against her chest. Margaret climbed into her pickup truck. The engine started with a rough coughing sound. As she began to drive away, Linda noticed something strange about the license plate. For just a moment, the letters and numbers seemed to shimmer and change into symbols that looked like the ones on the pendant. But when Linda blinked and looked again, it was just a normal license plate. That was weird, Linda said to herself as she walked back to her car. She drove home to her small apartment, thinking about the strange encounter. Margaret had seemed like a normal old woman, but there was something different about her. Those amber eyes, her strong grip, and the way she had studied Linda so carefully. And that pendant felt unusually warm against her skin. Linda parked in front of her apartment building and carried her groceries upstairs. Pepper and Salt met her at the door, meowing loudly for their dinner. She fed them and put away her groceries. But she could not stop thinking about Margaret Stone Dot as she got ready for bed. Linda looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. The pendant hung around her neck, the dark stone catching the light. She touched it gently with her finger. It definitely felt warm, almost like it had its own heartbeat. Linda went to sleep that night with no idea that her simple act of kindness had set in motion events that would change not just her life, but the entire future of humanity. Linda woke up to the sound of car doors slamming shut outside her apartment building. She looked at her clock. It was only 6 in the morning. She stumbled to her bedroom window and peeked through the curtains. Her heart nearly stopped. The entire street was filled with black cars and trucks. Men and women in dark suits were walking around, talking into small devices. Some of them were setting up strange equipment on the sidewalk. Others were talking to her neighbors, showing them official-looking badges. Linda rubbed her eyes and looked again. This was not a dream. There had to be at least 20 government vehicles parked outside her building. She quickly got dressed and was about to leave her apartment when someone knocked on her door. The knock was firm and official. "Miss Martinez?" A deep voice called from the hallway. "This is Agent Collins with the Federal Investigation Division. We need to speak with you." Linda's hands shook as she opened the door. 2 people in black suits stood in the hallway. The man was tall with short gray hair and serious eyes. The woman was younger with blonde hair, pulled back in a tight bun. Both of them looked very serious. "May we come in?" the man asked, showing her an official badge. "I am Agent Peter Collins, And this is Agent Kate Murphy." Linda stepped aside and let them enter her small apartment. Pepper and Salt ran to hide under the couch. "What is this about?" Linda asked. "I have not done anything wrong." Agent Murphy pulled out a tablet and showed Linda a photograph. It was a picture of Linda talking to Margaret Stone in the grocery store parking lot. The image was so clear that Linda could see every detail, including the pendant Margaret had given her. "We need to ask you about this woman," Agent Collins said. "When did you first meet her?" "Last night at the grocery store. She needed help carrying her bags to her truck." "Why? What is going on?" The two agents looked at each other. Agent Murphy typed something on her tablet. "Miss Martinez," Agent Collins said carefully, "the woman you helped last night is not who you think she is." Linda felt confused. "What do you mean?" "Her real name is not Margaret Stone, and she is not human." Linda stared at them. "Not human? What are you talking about?" "She was just an old woman who needed help with her groceries." Agent Murphy showed Linda another picture on her tablet. This one showed the same parking lot, but taken with some kind of special camera. In this image, Margaret Stone looked completely different. Instead of a small old woman, the picture showed a tall figure surrounded by a shimmering energy field. "We have been watching her for several months," Agent Collins explained. "She has been visiting different cities, always appearing as an elderly woman, always observing human behavior. Last night was the first time she made direct contact with anyone." Linda sat down heavily in her chair. This was too much to understand. "You are saying she was some kind of alien?" "Yes, and not just any alien. She is what our experts call a dragon." Linda almost laughed. "A dragon? Like in fairy tales?" "Not like in fairy tales," Agent Murphy said seriously. "Dragons are one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They are incredibly intelligent, very long-lived, and they have abilities that seem like magic to us. Most importantly, they serve as protectors and judges of younger civilizations." Agent Collins pulled out a chair and sat across from Linda. "Miss Martinez, that pendant she gave you is not just a piece of jewelry. Our scientists have been studying it with long-range scanners. It is giving off energy signatures unlike anything we have ever seen." Linda touched the pendant around her neck. It still felt warm. "What kind of energy?" "We are not entirely sure. But according to the little information we have about dragon culture, pendants like this are only given to individuals who have earned great respect. It is called a stone of kinship." "Respect for what?" "I just helped her carry some bags." Agent Murphy leaned forward. "That is exactly the point. Dragons value kindness above all else. They believe that how a person treats strangers, especially those who appear weak or helpless, reveals their true character." Linda felt overwhelmed. "So you are saying this was some kind of test?" "We believe so. And Miss Martinez, you passed." Before Linda could ask what that meant, Agent Collins's radio crackled to life. A voice spoke urgently through the static. "Collins, we have a situation. Energy readings are spiking all across the solar system. Something big is coming." Agent Collins grabbed his radio. "How big?" 12 massive objects just appeared on the edge of our solar system. They are heading directly toward Earth." Linda watched as both agents' faces went pale. "How long until they get here?" Agent Collins asked. "At their current speed, about 10 hours." Agent Murphy was already typing rapidly on her tablet. "We need to evacuate this building and set up a command center. If the dragons are coming here, they will want to speak with Miss Martinez." "Wait," Linda said, standing up quickly. "Dragons are coming here? To Earth?" "It appears so," Agent Collins said grimly. "And they are coming because of what happened last night." Within an hour, Linda's quiet apartment building had become the center of a massive government operation. Trucks arrived carrying computers, communication equipment, and dozens of specialists. Linda's neighbors were moved to hotels, while teams of technicians filled the hallways with cables and antennas. General Robert Hayes arrived around noon. He was a tall man with silver hair and a chest full of military medals. He set up his headquarters in Linda's living room. "Miss Martinez," he said as he shook her hand, "I want you to know that nothing like this has ever happened before. We have suspected that aliens existed, but we have never had confirmed contact. And now they are coming here because I helped an old woman with her groceries?" "Because you helped a dragon," General Hayes corrected. "And dragons do not give out stones of kinship lightly. In the few historical records we have found, this kind of pendant has only been awarded 3 times in the last 1,000 years. Dr. Amanda Clark, a scientist from a government laboratory Linda had never heard of, was studying the pendant with a handheld scanner. "The energy output is increasing," she reported. "Whatever this thing is made of, it is not from Earth. The molecular structure is unlike anything in our periodic table." Linda sat on her couch, watching her small apartment fill with people and equipment. Everything felt like a strange dream. Just yesterday, her biggest worry was whether she had enough cat food. Now she was apparently the first human to make contact with an alien species. "What do they want?" Linda asked General Hayes. "We do not know yet. But based on what our experts have told us about dragon culture, they probably want to evaluate humanity as a species. Your interaction with their representative may have convinced them that humans are worth their attention." Agent Murphy approached with a laptop computer. "General, we are receiving a transmission. It is coming from the lead ship." Everyone in the room went quiet. The laptop screen showed a pattern of lights and symbols that meant nothing to Linda. "Can we understand it?" General Hayes asked. Dr. Clark ran the transmission through several computer programs. After a few minutes, text appeared on the screen. "We seek audience with the human Linda Martinez. She has been chosen as worthy of communication. We will arrive at the location of the stone of kinship before the sun sets." Linda felt her heart racing. "They want to talk to me specifically?" "It appears so," General Hayes said. "Miss Martinez, I know this is overwhelming, but you may be humanity's first ambassador to an alien species. Are you willing to help us?" Linda looked around the room at all the serious faces staring at her. She thought about Margaret Stone and her kind amber eyes. She thought about the warm pendant around her neck. She thought about her simple life taking care of injured animals. "I do not know anything about being an ambassador," she said quietly. "Neither do we," General Hayes admitted. "But the dragons chose you for a reason. They saw something in you that impressed them." Linda took a deep breath. Outside her window, she could see news vans arriving as word of the alien ship spread. Her quiet life was over, whether she wanted it to be or not. "Okay," she said finally, "I will try to help. But I have no idea what I am doing." "None of us do," Agent Collins said with a small smile. "We are all just making this up as we go along." As the day continued, more equipment arrived. Linda's apartment became a hub of activity as scientists, military officers, and government officials prepared for humanity's first official contact with an alien species. Linda spent the afternoon learning everything the government knew about dragons, which was not very much. They were ancient, powerful, and served as peacekeepers in the galaxy. They protected younger species from threats, but also judged whether those species deserved protection. "The good news," Dr. Clark told her, "is that if they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already. The fact that they are coming to talk suggests they see potential in humanity." "And the bad news? If they decide we are not worthy of their protection, they might prevent us from ever leaving our solar system. Or worse." Linda touched the pendant around her neck. It was growing warmer as the day went on, almost as if it was counting down to something. As the sun began to set, everyone in the apartment gathered around the windows. In the distance, points of light were becoming visible in the darkening sky. The dragon fleet was arriving. Linda pressed her face against the window of her apartment and stared up at the evening sky. What had started as tiny points of light were now clearly visible as massive ships. They hung in the darkness above Earth like giant silver monuments. How big are they? She asked Dr. Clark, who was studying readings on her computer. Each ship is approximately 3 miles long, Dr. Clark replied, her voice filled with awe. The largest ones are bigger than any city on Earth. General Hayes was speaking rapidly into his radio, coordinating with military bases around the world. All units maintain distance. Do not approach the alien vessels. Repeat, do not approach. Linda could hear the fear in his voice. She understood why. The dragon ships were beautiful, but terrifying. They looked like they were made of liquid metal that shifted and flowed in the light. Even from space, they projected an aura of incredible power. Linda, Agent Murphy called from across the room. We are getting another transmission. Linda walked over to the communication station that had been set up where her dining table used to be. The screen showed the same pattern of lights and symbols as before. Dr. Clark ran the message through the translation program. New text appeared. Matriarch Stonevo requests immediate communication with Linda Martinez. Other humans may observe, but not participate. Matriarch Stonevo? Linda asked. That must be Margaret Stone's real name, Agent Collins explained. Matriarch is probably her rank or title. General Hayes looked worried. They want to talk to you alone. I do not like that. We should have our best diplomats involved in these discussions. But they specifically asked for Linda, Dr. Clark pointed out. If we refuse their request, we might offend them. Linda felt terrified, but also strangely honored. If they wanted to hurt me, they probably would have done it already. Margaret seemed kind when I met her. That was before you knew what she really was, Agent Murphy said. Maybe, but she still needed help with her groceries. And she still said thank you. Linda touched the pendant around her neck. It was now so warm, it almost felt hot. She could swear she felt it pulsing like a heartbeat. I think I should talk to her, Linda said. If this is really happening, if aliens are really here because of me, then I need to do my part. General Hayes nodded reluctantly. All right, but we will be monitoring everything. If anything goes wrong, we will intervene immediately. The technicians worked quickly to establish a stronger communication link. Within minutes, they had created a connection that could handle both audio and video signals. Ready when you are, Miss Martinez, the lead technician said. Linda sat down in front of the camera. Her hands were shaking. She tried to imagine she was just talking to Margaret Stone, the nice old woman who needed help with heavy grocery bags. I am ready, she said. The screen flickered, and suddenly Linda was looking at something that took her breath away. The creature on the screen was definitely not human. She was enormous, with scales that shifted between gold and silver as she moved. Her face was long and elegant, with those same amber eyes that Linda remembered from the parking lot. But now they blazed with an inner fire that seemed to see everything. When the dragon spoke, her voice was like music played on instruments made of wind and starlight. Linda Martinez, the dragon said, and Linda was surprised to hear warmth in that incredible voice. I am Matriarch Stoneval. You knew me as Margaret Stone. Hello, Linda managed to say. Her voice sounded tiny compared to the dragon's. Do not be afraid, child. I mean you no harm. I come to thank you for your kindness and to speak with you about important matters. Linda found her courage. You could have told me who you really were. I would have helped you anyway. The dragon's eyes sparkled with what looked like amusement. Would you? Even knowing I could destroy your entire city with a thought? Linda considered this seriously. Yes, I think so. You still would have been someone who needed help. That answer pleases me greatly, Matriarch Stonewall said. It confirms what I observed about your character. Was it really a test? Linda asked. Yes, though you were not meant to know it. For many years, my people have been watching your species. We wanted to understand what humans are truly like when they think no one important is watching. Linda could hear General Hayes and the others talking quietly behind her, but she focused on the dragon's words. We have seen humans do terrible things to each other and to other species on your planet. We have also seen humans do wonderful things. We needed to understand which nature is stronger in your people. And what did you decide? Your actions convinced me that humans have the potential for greatness. You saw what appeared to be a frail old woman struggling with a burden. You did not hesitate to help. You expected nothing in return. You were kind simply because kindness was needed. Linda felt a warm glow of pride, but also confusion. But I am just one person. How can you judge all of humanity based on what I did? Because you are not unique among your species, Linda Martinez. In my travels across your world, I have seen many humans show the same compassion you showed. The difference is that you were the first to help me directly. The dragon leaned closer to the camera, and Linda could see the incredible intelligence in those amber eyes. My people are called the Galactic Preservation Alliance. We protect younger species from dangers they are not yet ready to face. We also help them grow and learn if they prove worthy. What kind of dangers? There are species in the galaxy that view young civilizations like yours as resources to be consumed. They would strip your planet bare and enslave your people. For thousands of years, we have prevented them from finding Earth. Linda felt a chill run down her spine. You have been protecting us? Yes, but we cannot protect you forever. Eventually, your species will develop the technology to travel between stars. When that happens, you will encounter both friends and enemies. You must be prepared. General Hayes stepped forward, though he stayed out of camera range. Ask her what we need. To do, he whispered. What do we need to do? Linda asked. You must decide whether you wish to join the Galactic Preservation Alliance as a junior member. This would give you access to advanced technology and protection from hostile species. But it would also give you responsibilities. What kind of responsibilities? Member species must contribute to the protection of other worlds. You would need to help defend civilizations that cannot defend themselves, just as we have defended you. Linda thought about this. It sounded like being part of a galactic police force or military. What if we say no? Then we will continue to protect you until you are strong enough to protect yourselves. But that might take centuries or even millennia. And there is always the risk that hostile forces might find you before you are ready. And if we say yes, then we will share our knowledge with you. Within a generation, humans will have unlimited clean energy, cures for most diseases, and the ability to travel to other worlds. But you will also have the duty to use this power wisely. Linda felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the decision. You want me to choose for all of humanity? Not choose. Recommend. I will present your recommendation to the full Alliance Council. They will make the final decision based on your words and my observations. Behind her, Linda could hear intense whispering as government officials debated what she should say. But she realized that this was not really a decision for politicians or generals to make. Can I ask you something? Linda said to the dragon. Of course. Why do you care about protecting other species? What do you get out of it? Matriarch Stonewall was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. Long ago, my people were young and foolish. We used our power carelessly and caused great harm to others. We learned too late that strength without wisdom is dangerous, and that wisdom without compassion is worthless. So you are trying to make up for past mistakes? We are trying to ensure that other species do not make the same mistakes we did. We guide them toward wisdom instead of just power. Linda understood. The dragons were not trying to control other civilizations. They were trying to help them become better than the dragons themselves had been. I need to think about this, Linda sighed. This is too important to decide quickly. Of course. Take all the time you need. But know that other species are watching this conversation. Some of them would prefer that humans never join the alliance. Other species? Yes, some view humans as a potential threat. Others see you as potential resources. Your decision will affect how they treat you in the future. The screen flickered slightly, and Linda could see other dragon faces appearing behind Matriarch Stonevo. They were all watching her with those intense amber eyes. How long do I have to decide? Linda asked. The Alliance Council convenes in 3 days. I will need your recommendation by then. 3 days to decide the future of humanity? 3 days to decide whether humanity wants to step into the larger universe as protectors, or remain isolated until they are forced to step out. As refugees? Linda felt the weight of 6 billion people resting on her shoulders. She touched the pendant around her neck, and it pulsed with warmth. I will give you my answer in 3 days, she said. Thank you, Linda Martinez. You have already proven that. Your species has great potential. I hope you will choose to fulfill that potential. The screen went dark, and Linda found herself staring at her own refill. The next morning, Linda woke up to find her apartment building surrounded by news vans, police barriers, and crowds of curious people. The story of the Dragon Fleet had spread around the world overnight. Every television channel, radio station, and internet site was talking about the same thing. Aliens were real, and they wanted to talk to a veterinary technician from Portland. Linda could not even look out her window without seeing camera flashes. Reporters shouted questions at her building, hoping she might hear them and respond. Miss Martinez, how does it feel to be humanity's first contact with aliens? Linda, are the dragons here to invade Earth? What did the alien leader say to you? General. Hayes had set up security around the building to keep the reporters away, but Linda could still hear their voices through her windows. How are you holding up? Agent Murphy asked as Linda sat at her kitchen table, trying to eat breakfast while government officials filled her living room. I feel like I am living in someone else's life, Linda admitted. 3 days ago, I was worried about paying my electric bill. Now I am supposed to decide if humanity should join some kind of galactic military. You are not deciding alone, said Ambassador Rachel Green, who had arrived from Washington during the night. She was an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes who had spent 30 years negotiating treaties between countries. The President has asked me to help you understand the diplomatic aspects of this situation. Linda was grateful for the help. Ambassador Green explained that the Dragon's offer was similar to treaties that countries made with each other on Earth. Nations would form alliances to protect each other from common enemies and to share resources and knowledge. But this is bigger than anything we have ever dealt with, Ambassador Green said. We are talking about joining a community that includes multiple planets and species. Dr. Clark had been studying recordings of the conversation with Matriarch Stonevo all night. I have been analyzing everything the dragon said. I think they are being completely honest with us about the benefits and the risks. What benefits exactly? Linda asked. Unlimited clean energy that would end pollution and climate change. Medical technology that could eliminate cancer, heart disease, and most other illnesses. Transportation systems that could take people to other planets as easily as flying to another country. And the risks? We would be expected to help defend other civilizations when they are threatened. That could mean sending human soldiers to fight in wars on planets we have never heard of. Linda felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her again. How can I recommend that other people's children should go fight in alien wars? Because the alternative might be worse, General Hayes said grimly. If we stay isolated and eventually encounter hostile aliens on our own, we would be completely defenseless. At least as Alliance members, we would have powerful allies and advanced weapons. Commander Jake Williams, a military scientist who specialized in space technology, had been studying data about the Dragon ships. Their technology is so far ahead of ours that it would take us centuries to develop anything similar on our own, maybe longer. So we can either join their alliance now and get their help, Linda said, or we can wait and hope we figure things out ourselves before something bad finds us. That is a simplified way to put it. But yes, Ambassador Green agreed. Linda's phone had been ringing constantly since the news broke. Her parents, her sister, her friends from work, and dozens of reporters had all tried to call her. Agent Collins had convinced her to turn off the phone so she could focus on the decision ahead. I keep thinking about something Matriarch Stonevo said, Linda told the group. She said that some other alien species view humans as either a threat or as resources. What did she mean by that? Dr. Clark pulled up some notes on her computer. Based on what little we know about galactic politics, there seem to be different factions. Some species believe in helping younger civilizations develop. Others prefer to conquer or exploit them. And some might see humans as competition, Commander Williams added. If we develop advanced technology on our own, we might become rivals for resources or territory. Linda tried to imagine alien species that viewed humans as nothing more than useful materials to be harvested. The thought made her feel sick. Have these hostile species tried to find Earth before? She asked. The dragons have been protecting U.S. for thousands of years, Agent Murphy replied. But that protection has limits. They can hide our planet and deflect some threats, but they cannot fight a full-scale war just to defend one world. Unless we are alliance members, Linda realized, then they would be obligated to defend us. Exactly. But we would also be obligated to defend other alliance worlds. Linda walked over to her window and looked up at the dragon ships. They had moved closer during the night and were now visible even in daylight. People all over the city were pointing at them and taking pictures. I need to talk to her again, Linda decided. I have more questions. Within an hour, the communication link was re-established. Matriarch Stonevo appeared on the screen in her magnificent dragon form. Linda was less intimidated this time, but still awed by the creature's presence. Linda Martinez, the dragon said warmly, I am pleased to speak with you again. How may I help you? I have been thinking about what you said yesterday, about other species watching this conversation. Yes, word of our contact with humanity has spread quickly through the galaxy. Many are curious about your species. Are any of them planning to hurt us? Matriarch Stonevo was quiet for a moment. There are species that would exploit humanity if given the opportunity. They are currently held back by treaties and the threat of alliance intervention. But those barriers would not last forever if you remain unprotected. What about species that might be afraid of us? A few have expressed concern about human aggression and your rapid technological development. They worry that humans might become a threat to galactic peace. Linda felt frustrated. So we are damned if we do and damned if we do not? Some aliens want to hurt us, and others are afraid we might hurt them? Welcome to galactic politics, the dragon said, with what sounded like a laugh. Every species faces these same challenges when they first join the larger community. How do other species usually handle it? Most choose to join the alliance. The benefits outweigh the risks for civilizations that are ready to accept responsibility for others. What happens to species that are not ready? They are given more time to develop, sometimes centuries or millennia. But isolation has its own dangers. Species that remain alone for too long often become afraid of the outside universe. They develop weapons instead of wisdom. Linda thought about Earth's history of wars and conflicts. Humans already have plenty of weapons. Yes, but you also have compassion. That is why you were chosen for this conversation. Your actions in the parking lot showed that humans are capable of thinking beyond themselves. Behind her, Linda could hear Ambassador Green and General Hayes discussing something in urgent whispers. She turned around. What is it? Linda asked. Ambassador Green looked worried. We just received intelligence reports. Several countries are mobilizing their military forces. Some world leaders are talking about trying to capture dragon technology by force. Linda felt horrified. They want to attack the dragons? Some of them think this is an opportunity to steal advanced alien technology, General Hayes said grimly. They do not understand how outmatched we would be. Linda turned back to the screen. Matriarch Stonevo, some of our leaders are talking about attacking your ships. Please do not judge all humans based on a few foolish decisions. The dragon's amber eyes blazed brighter. We are aware of these preparations. Your military satellites are not as secret as your leaders believe. But we are not concerned about your weapons. Why not? Because your weapons cannot harm our ships. What concerns us is that some humans would choose aggression over diplomacy when faced with something they do not understand. Linda felt ashamed. Not all of us think that way. I know. That is why we are still talking instead of leaving. Your reaction gives me hope that humanity can grow beyond its violent tendencies. Dr. Clark stepped forward. Ask her about the technology they would share with us. What exactly would you teach us if we joined the Alliance? Linda asked. First, we would provide clean energy systems that work by converting matter directly into power. No pollution, no waste, unlimited energy for your entire civilization. What else? Medical technology that repairs damage at the cellular level. Your people would live much longer and healthier lives. Most diseases would become things of the past. Linda thought about all the sick animals she had treated at the clinic. Could it help animals too? Of course. Alliance members learned to care for all life, not just their own species. And transportation? Ships that can travel between stars in days instead of years. Your people could visit other worlds, establish colonies, trade with other species. It sounded like paradise. But Linda knew there had to be more to it. What would we have to do in return? Contribute to Alliance defense forces when needed. Share your own knowledge and resources with other member species. Most importantly, protect younger civilizations the way we have protected you. How often would we need to send people to fight? Not often. Most conflicts are resolved. Linda spent her last night as an ordinary human being sitting on her couch with pepper and salt curled up beside her. The apartment was finally quiet. All the government officials had gone to hotels to get some rest before the big day. Only Agent Murphy remained, sitting quietly in the corner in case Linda needed anything. Linda had made her decision hours ago, but she kept second-guessing herself. Was she being too optimistic about humanity? Too naive about the dangers of galactic politics? She touched the pendant around her neck and tried to imagine the alien beings who were waiting for her answer. Are you ready? Agent Murphy asked gently. No, Linda said honestly, but I do not think anyone could be ready for this. The next evening, Linda's living room was packed again with officials and equipment. The communication link to the Dragon fleet was stronger than ever. On screens around the room, Linda could see that world leaders were watching from their own command centers. At exactly sunset, Matriarch Stonevo appeared on the main screen. Behind her, Linda could see other figures that looked like different Types of aliens. The Alliance Council was assembled and waiting. Linda Martinez, the dragon said formally. The Council is ready to hear your recommendation. Will humanity accept membership in the Galactic Preservation Alliance? Linda stood up and looked directly into the camera. She thought about the sick animals she had helped heal. She thought about Margaret Stone struggling with heavy grocery bags. She thought about all the humans throughout history who had chosen to help others even when it was difficult or dangerous. Yes, she said clearly. I recommend that humanity join the Alliance. We are ready to accept the responsibility of protecting others, just as you have protected us. The dragon's amber eyes blazed with approval. You understand what this means? That humans will be expected to risk their lives for species they have never met? I understand. But that is what good people do. They help others who need help, even strangers, even if it costs them something. And you believe your species will honor this commitment? I believe most humans will. The same compassion that made me help you in the parking lot exists in millions of other people. We will make mistakes, and we will have to learn as we go, but we will try to do what is right. Matriarch Stonevo turned to address the other council members. Linda could hear them speaking in languages that sounded like music, wind, and flowing water. After several minutes, the dragon turned back to Linda. The council has voted. Humanity is accepted as a junior member of the Galactic Preservation Alliance. Welcome to the larger universe, Linda Martinez. Linda felt tears of relief and joy streaming down her face. Around her, the government officials were cheering and shaking hands. Thank you, Linda said to the dragon. We will not let you down. I believe you will succeed beyond even your own expectations. Your species has great potential for growth and wisdom. Over the following months, everything changed. Dragon ships landed on Earth and began installing clean energy systems that ended pollution and power shortages forever. Human scientists worked alongside alien engineers to build medical facilities that could cure diseases that had plagued humanity for thousands of years. Linda found herself appointed as Earth's first human dragon liaison. She split her time between a small office in Portland and a magnificent ship that traveled between Alliance worlds. She learned to speak the dragon language and helped negotiate agreements between human governments and alien species, but she never forgot her roots. Once a month, she returned to her old apartment to visit Pepper and Salt and to shop at the same grocery store where everything had started. 6 months after first contact, Linda was walking through that same parking lot when she saw Margaret Stone again. The dragon was back in her human disguise, loading groceries into her old pickup truck. Need some help? Linda asked with a smile. Margaret looked up and grinned. I thought you might ask that. Some things never change, do they? I hope not, Linda said as she picked up the heavy bags. I hope we never lose the part of ourselves that wants to help others. That is why the Council chose humanity, Margaret said as they loaded the truck together. Not because you are the strongest or the smartest species in the galaxy, but because you are kind. Linda looked up at the sky, where Alliance ships now moved freely between Earth and the stars. Humanity had joined something magnificent and terrifying and wonderful. And it had all started with helping an elderly dragon carry her groceries to her truck.